Welcome to Sarpy Outlook, a program dedicated to promoting democratic ideals from an issue-based perspective. I'm Peg O'Dea Lippert, a Sarpy County Democrat and a long-time political activist. As a retired clinical social worker, I've committed my life to making a difference, promoting the common good, equality, and justice for all. My belief is that sitting around and talking about ideas and ideals is not enough. We need to take action. Perhaps in our lifetimes, this has never been more important. Today, I will present a simple thing that everyone who has a phone can do, and I assume that means everyone. So let's get started. The topic is contacting elected officials. I will lead by example. Every morning since the beginning of this congressional session, I call our 2 U.S. senators and my representative, who is Don Bacon now. Of immediate concern, of course, is a senatorial consent, the vote by the Senate to the cabinet nominees, many of whom are unfit to serve, in my opinion. There's also the risks to Medicare, Social Security, the Affordable Care Act, and Medicaid, to mention a few. Believe me, there will always be issues. Although a separate branch of government, I also remind the senators that they have a particular responsibility to oversee the president, who knows little about governance. Therefore, they have an extra burden at this time. I will start by giving you some limited contact information, and the rest will be posted for your ongoing use and convenience. I generally call the Washington office, so that's what I will start with. Ben Sass's Washington office, phone number 202-224-4224. I think it's important to know the committees each serves on, because issues may come up that you want to address. He serves on the Armed Services Committee, the Judicial Committee, the Banking and Urban Affairs. Deb Fisher's Washington office is 202-228-6551. She serves on the Armed Services Committee, Commerce, Science and Transportation, the Environment and Public Works, Rules and Administration, and she serves on a special committee on aging. Don Bacon's office is 202-225-4155. He has been assigned to the House Armed Services Committee, Agriculture, the only one from Nebraska now on the Agriculture Committee of either house, and Small Business. Jeff Fortenberry's Washington number is 202-225-4806. He serves on the Appropriations Committee. Adrian Smith's office, 202-225-6435. He serves on the Ways and Means Committee and the Administration Committee. More detail will be posted for your convenience. You've often heard it said that all politics is local. The unicameral has just completed the 10 days of bill introductions, and now the serious committee work and floor debate begins. One can watch these proceedings on TV. Find your local channel. I know in the Omaha area on Cox, it's channel 16. That may vary throughout the state. Or go to www.nebraskalegislature.gov and keep up to date on the status of bills. Unlike with your federal officials, do not hesitate to contact yours and any and all of the state senators about an issue of concern to you. Around the first part of February, the new Nebraska unicameral legislature 2017 roster will be available. Here's a sample of last year's. Call the Bill Room, 402-471-0617, or stop by the office to ask for a copy. This is invaluable. It lists all of the state senators, their legislative assistants, their administrative aid, all the committees on which they serve. It's a mine of valuable information. I keep mine by the computer and by my phone. So let's get started. When you call, have a plan in mind. Know your facts. What is the purpose of your call? What is it you want him or her to do or not do? And don't hesitate to remind them that once elected, they represent all the people, not just those who voted for them. Generally, I think calling is better as they get hundreds of emails, and I am not certain how they sort through those emails. It's more satisfying to call because you get to talk to someone and you know you've been heard. And it does matter. They do record and keep records of the calls and they're submitted on a daily basis to the elected official. Often this season the phone lines are busy. You might get a recording or no answer at all. If that's the case, instead of calling the Washington office, which is my preference, I will call Omaha, and one day I called the Scottsbluff office of Senator Fisher. Sometimes, depending on the staffer, they will ask for your name and location. They might want your address or simply your city or town or your zip code. I, however, always start my calls by asking, is the senator in? Or may I speak to the congressman? Well, they have never yet been available, I might add. If you're unsatisfied with your contact with the staffer, and these are usually the most junior people on the staff, ask to speak to the senior staff. Each office has particular staff people assigned to certain areas. So if you're calling about something particular, ask to speak to that senior staff person. Typically, they will only take and not give information. However, with young, inexperienced staffers, they may unknowingly give you all kinds of information, which is always a challenge to get that information. And I don't hesitate to ask for it. I have learned that calling other than your own elected official is not useful. I learned this after the Senate passed a meaningful immigration bill, and John Boehner, who was Speaker of the House at the time, was unwilling to bring that bill to the floor of the House. I called his office every day for weeks, and with no result, no response, and often, indeed, no answer. To be effective in making these calls, whether it's to the federal officials or your state officials, you need to be alert to what's going on, be aware of the issues, and be timely. Also, be persistent. Some of you have heard me say this before. I called Ben Nelson's office every day until he voted for the Affordable Care Act. I say that because it does make a difference. I want to thank you for following Sarpy Outlook. Get out there and make a difference. Let your voice be heard. Thank you.